Join internationally acclaimed overland expert Paul Marsh and award-winning journalist Gregory Simpson as they delve into all things responsible overlanding. From choosing the right vehicle, getting yourself prepared, getting your vehicle prepared, safety tips, and much, much more. Only on Responsible Overlanding.
There's two choices of vehicles in my mind that really work for overland travel. Well, three really. If you're looking at the stable, I guess you're looking at the 70 series, which comes in a single cab, double cab, the 76, which is the station wagon, the 78, which is the troop carrier, and of course you get single cab and double cab. So the other vehicle I like to use a lot of is the 105 and the 80 series. Now these vehicles are a lot older. They've still got a solid live axle, which is one of the things I really like. It's good ground clearance, it's very strong and robust. But what I do like about these trucks, if I'm looking at my client, it's a very comfortable truck. It's coil sprung all around.
Automatic gearbox option.
You can get an automatic gearbox on it, you're absolutely right. And you know, so you're getting a lot of comfort. It's often a little bit quieter because there's better insulation, although we do insulate the double cabs with matting, dyno matting on the underneath the carpets, and there's lots of ways you can add, soundproofing to that. But a vehicle like this can work exceptionally well, especially for two people. And what we've done on this truck is going to have a rooftop tent. It's not going to have a roof rack, it's going on bars because it doesn't need a rack, it's just the tent. It quite likely have an awning, so you can open your awning and have shelter underneath there. And we've taken just the two seats. Okay, so the value on this car was to take this middle area here. So you've got front seat, passenger seat, where you've got your two people occupying the car. Then I encourage people to put a third seat in, and the third seat is actually really for a guide. Or if you're a person traveling by yourself, you could have a couple join you. So there's that flexibility. Where I go away from people trying to build a vehicle like this to carry 4 people, for their friends to join them, often even for children to join them, grown-up kids, not youngsters, I feel that it's actually a big sacrifice, because often the parents are taking a vehicle like this and they're going to build it up for a long trip, long time, and of course everyone wants to join. Your mates are promising you they're going to join you. Often it doesn't happen because timings and things. It's nice talk in the bar and everyone's keen until the reality happens and you've got to go and get in the plane ticket and get out there. So I say to folk, when people are going to do that, let them just hire a car. Build your car up for you. Don't compromise on this very, very valuable real estate. The space behind here is incredibly valuable real estate, as I put it. This is where you can access. So we go back to access. You've got a nice door here, you can get in the vehicle, you can access stuff. Same from the other side and the same from the back. So by using this middle space, you're also pushing weight further forward and you're making it very usable. So if I start off with the roof, we'll have a roof net made up inside the car. There isn't one in the car at the moment, but it's a really great space to store jackets and lightweight stuff. Space in the roof is dead space, so that's where we make the first use of good space. Then between the front and the back, we put a load guard. Now we build a solid load guard inside. We build it out of plywood, carpeted, you can do it out of metal. It's a solid load guard, it's strong, and it's really separating the living area from the storage area, as I like to say. Gives a sense of security as well, but it's giving you that division so you can actually have that space and create different areas of your vehicle. So when we look in here, you're going to see a seat behind the driver, which is the extra seat. Then what we've done, if you come around here, so you'll see, I'll go across.
Is that the original seat or aftermarket?
Okay, so what we've done here is we've got an aftermarket seat here. And I think this comes out of one of the Volkswagens. It's a smallish seat. Okay, it's comfortable enough. It's tight, but it's good enough. Then what we've got here is a camera box. And you can just put 2 nice water bottles in here. You've got a nice camera box here. You can store stuff in here. So it's camera gear, laptops, and it's lockable.
Passports.
So, well, passports you often need more accessible. If you get stopped at a roadblock, they ask you for your passports. You don't want to be digging everything out to find them. So invariably, passports, if I know I'm going to use them at a border post, I get them out ahead of time. We've got a safe built in underneath the fridge. Okay, so there's a safe in underneath the fridge here, and we've raised this whole level up here. So we've given us some storage space underneath this box and underneath the fridge. Because again, a little bit of space underneath all this is very, very valuable. You know, you could put toolkit, recovery kit, stuff you need to access but don't want to unpack the whole back. So if just underneath, and I'll show you how we access that, gives you that space to draw that kit out, it's really, really valuable. And on top here is also space you can use. There's nothing stopping you putting a soft bag on top here, which you could put vegetables in. You know, often I have a padded bag made with a net, like a mesh sort of lid on it, because vegetables and fruit and they get pounded away. So if it's a soft padded bag and it sits on here, you've got access to that. It can go on the seat when you don't need it. Okay, and you've got a roof net sitting in here, and you've got a load board on the back there. So that load board gives you a nice area to actually make little pockets, store stuff on there. So again, we're looking at everything having its place. Now I'll roll the seat forward and you'll see that actually
Here's your
the seat's not fixed in yet.
That looks like a Jetta seat from the 90s.
Okay, so you'll see
where the
carefully in
magic
there.
happens.
We've got an inverter. We've got the DC to DC system. We've got a 220 volt charger, which basically this 220 volt charger charges the batteries. So the way I like to set a system up is I build shore power into the vehicle. So we have from 220 volts plug into the vehicle. That runs the fridge, goes through a 220 volt charger which charges your auxiliary batteries. So there's no pressure off your auxiliary batteries when you're on the mains. So you can run your fridge, you can pack your fridge, goes nice and full, and that way you've got the batteries full. So when you drive out your garage, fridge is full, it's cold, it's been running on the mains, your batteries are full, so happy days. Okay.
And some of the pros and cons between lithium, sort of lead crystal, there's various options.
Look, I think the battery technology is racing on hugely, and it's so difficult to compare batteries. You know, I like a good AGM battery. It has a good absorption rate of the ability to absorb current, to recover itself. I mean, the lead crystal batteries have been around a while. The lithium batteries are making good inroads here. Battery technology, there's a huge drive on battery technology, so it's going to get smaller, lighter, more powerful as we go. And I think you've got to balance out the costs of what you spend on batteries for cars, because you can always put the best batteries in, but if you don't maintain them and your car sits around, you end up changing them after time. You come away and you let your car stand, you don't maintain them, and that's why I like shore power. You can plug in, you can maintain those batteries. We also then fit a solar panel to the top of the roof tent, and that's to just
How many watts would you go for?
Varies on the panels. So I think it's an 80 watt panel, okay, between 80 and 130 depending on what panel we're using. Sometimes people even put two panels on. It depends on how they're using their vehicle, how much time they're going to be standing. Now, when you've got panels fixed to a vehicle, it's not the most suitable, but it does mean every time you stop the car, you're getting some current into your batteries. So your fridge is running, you stop the car, you're having lunch somewhere, you're still getting, in the heat of the day, some power going into the batteries. So that's valuable. When you're stopped in a camp at night, it becomes less valuable because you don't have the sun. But when you stay in camp for a couple of days, 10 to 1 if there's trees, you're going to park under the trees, and that's when you can plug an external set of panels in, so we have that option as well. Or you have your car in the sun and you're just charging up the batteries. So you're trying to prolong the time you can stop with not running your car and having the power and the batteries to run your fridge and your lights. And that's a balance, and that has to be understood, that people understand a battery system is like a big tank of water. Okay, when it goes too low, it takes a long time to fill it up. And effectively, you know, if you're filling a tank like a bath, if you're filling a bath and you've got the plug out, it takes a long time to try and really get that restored. So if you've flattened your batteries completely because you've left something on and you haven't been replenishing them through the alternator, through the solar, or through 220, it really works to go and plug it into the mains and let it properly charge up on the mains. And then you know you're back to a full battery and start again.
When you're buying a new appliance, do you charge it fully before you use it?
Actually, you find on all the batteries on phones and stuff, they'll tell you to run it flat first and then start the cycle.
First.
So you actually use it. So if you get a brand new mobile phone, I'm not an expert on mobile phones, but what I've always been told is, hey, use it until it almost goes down completely, and then you start your charge cycle from 0 up again. But what we're trying to achieve here is give someone 220 volt inverter. so you can charge laptops and batteries. This box that we got between the seats, it's got a hole in the back so you can take cables in through the back there, and you can just plug it into your laptops and cameras while they're in the box, which is quite nice.
That's handy.
The other place
And
I put
drinks
a
holder there as well, which is important for
drinks
overlanding.
holder. Well, the thing is, it's more water's important, so people don't drink enough water.
Exactly.
So a decent, 750ml water bottle.
Especially in the middle of the Namib.
Yeah, exactly. And rehydration. More often than not, people are coming out from overseas. They haven't got the experience of the hot climates like we're going to get. It's very dry, it's very hot, and you dehydrate quickly. And suddenly they're jet lagged, they're flown in from a long flight, so they're dehydrated. They're now maybe at altitude. Yeah. So there's all these stacking against you. Those are the sort of elements which we'll talk about at some stage about safety and that.
That's where a guy like you comes in handy.
Well, I am a safety. I've had that experience. I've made those mistakes. So this area here in this vehicle really works well. I mean, you've got a fridge, you've got a good secure box here, you've got some extra storage underneath. It's compact, but it really works. Let's go to the back. 2 drawers. 2 nice sized drawers, deep drawers. These are 250 deep. So now I can actually come in here, I can take out, you can put your 2 chairs up there, you can put your chairs at the back here. It just depends how you want to do it. What we've done is we've put 2 water tanks in here. These water tanks, the water comes underneath.
Are these 50s?
These are 40 litres. So it's 240, I think they're 40 litre tanks. Okay. So now we've got 2 separate water sources, both gravity fed, to a tap that comes, we're going to put the tap over here. Clip in, you now can separate your water, okay. When a tank's empty, now you've got water, so you've got quite good, sort on what you're doing there. Between those tanks is designed to take the ammo boxes. So 4 of the ammo boxes. And that's where I'm going to pack spares kit, repair kit, maybe some more recovery kit if we feel we need it, tool kit, and that's going to be the stuff I don't need too often because it's going to actually sit between the cargo rails and it's going to be lashed down in place and they're going to come to just about there. So 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes, we can pull them out if we need to.
And four versus 1 big box?
See, a big box is always a challenge because you've got to remember you've got to lift stuff in and out the vehicle. And that's what people don't always realize. You're back, you're sitting driving, you're not exercising as much. Now you grab this big heavy box. That's where you do injuries. I injured my back years on a safari when I was a guide in Botswana, throwing stuff off the top of vehicles and stuff, just being not mindful of how I should look after my back. So that gives you very good area to store stuff you don't use often. So it sits there. Then I've got a nice shelf up here. We've got a light here. I don't think it's connected yet. Okay, so we've got a light up here, shelf up here, first aid kit can go up there if you're not using it for chairs. So this space here, generally people put their bags down and maybe if they're using the collapsible chairs, they'll put their chairs on top. If they're using a more compact chair, they could maybe slide up top. What you've got here is clothing bags, chairs, tables. So if I'm stopping, I can slide the table out without taking anything out. I can grab my 2 chairs and we're out. The clothing bags generally go 1 on the driver's seat, 1 on the passenger seat. So now, when you've got your clothes bag on the passenger seat and the driver's seat, that's your area. The footwell, you can put your shoes, you can put your toiletry bag, you've got your space, and you don't need massive clothes bags. People take far too much on expedition. So I feel that often there's so much clothing people take. They take all this clothing and they've got heaps and heaps of washing to do.
Yeah.
You can wash so quickly.
Yeah.
If you take a dry bag, one of these dry bags used for kayaking, throw your clothing in, bit of water, bit of soap, jiggle it around. Hey, it could sit in your car for a day and get all the dirt out. It's a quick way to wash your clothing and hang it up at night and hey, the next morning the stuff's dry. So, invest in lightweight clothing. You actually don't need a lot. And every trip you do, work out what you don't need. And layer, a thin fleece, something thicker and an outer shell is going to, and a beanie is going to make it really warm for you.
Do you find clients come back and they say, I'm so less wasteful now at home after a long trip?
People come back with their values changed, especially on a long trip. I'm not talking 2-3 weeks. I'm talking about people who've
2-3
actually,
years.
more like six months to a year. People come back and their values have changed, and that's the interesting process.